I would have granted your request, and I would have given you living water. Which brings me to my next point. If the world could just understand and see how easy it is to receive Jesus, who is the living water. If the world could understand how easy it is to have that life only found in Jesus, then I think some of us would find ourselves asking him, Lord, give me the living water. Let me talk to those of you that have walked away from the water source, and you're satisfying or trying to satisfy your thirst with the things of the world. All the things you try, all the things that you enjoy will not satisfy your soul. One songwriter said, there is no way I can live without you. My burdens are too much. And can I tell you something? With the burdens that some of us are facing and things we're going through in life right now, if we did not have that living water to quench our thirst, we would be most miserable. The enemy has even tried to see and separate us from our life source. That because we have clung to Jesus, because we have sought him, because we've asked of him, and he's given us that living water. It soothes our thirst, it calms our fears, it brings peace to our soul. I think somebody knows what I'm talking about tonight. It brings joy to our spirit. Even now, with all the things that are going on, some of us could have lost our minds, could have gone crazy, could have committed suicide because we felt as though nothing was quenching our thirst. But Jesus has brought peace to our spirits. You ask me, how in the world can you have peace in the midst of confusion? Because you can be in a place where there is confusion, and Jesus will speak peace to your spirit. Are you listening to me? That's why the songwriter said, blessed quietness, holy quietness, what an assurance in my soul. On the stormy seas of life, Jesus speaks to me, and the billows cease to roll. The thing that was meant to destroy me has no effect because my thirst has been quenched, because I have drank from the living water. The fountain that never shall run dry, the fountain that renews itself. And it's something about when you have drank from the living water. Nothing else in life can take the place of the living water. I hope you're getting this tonight. Nothing else in life, shopping, buying clothes, does not take the place of living water. Cars don't take the place of living water. Money will not take the place of living water. Companionship, earthly companionship, will not take the place of living water. Nothing can replace Jesus, who is the living water. Aren't you glad about that? Everything else in this world is temporal. And if you drink from it, guess what? You're going to be hungry, you're going to be thirsty again. And your thirst will never be satisfied. But the songwriter said, I came to Jesus just as I was, and I drank from that life's living stream. Guess what? My thirst was quenched. My soul revived. And now I live in him. Why do I live? Because I have drank from the living water. The life of Jesus, the living water living in me, brings life to my spirit. You ought to tell God thank you for that. You ought to be happy about that. Jesus, and I'm almost finished, is still in the business of speaking parables, speaking words that brings about an opportunity for him to witness to your spirit. He starts a conversation, but there's a point he wants to bring out at the end. And that lesson is, you need a drink of the living water. You need to drink from the fountain that never shall run dry. And guess what? You can go back as many times as necessary. Because in this life, we go through dry seasons. We go through things that try to choke us, our spirit, choke our faith in God, choke out our testimony, and even choke our praise. Have you ever dealt with situations in life and while others were praising, it looked like you couldn't even get a praise out of your mouth hardly? Because the things of the world has sought to choke the praise out of your lips. You don't have to stay like that. You don't have to have a spiritual dry mouth. But Jesus will give you living water. What is living water? It's salvation. It's the gift of God. It's Jesus living inside of you, the hope of all glory. What is living water? It cancels out all the things that the world would try to do to kill me, to destroy me. What is that living water? It renews my strength. It increases my faith. It gives me satisfaction. I don't think there's a person that's drank from the living water that should be unsatisfied. There's no way in the world you can drink from the living water and not be satisfied. Let me tell you why. 2 words. Jesus satisfies. I'll say it again. Jesus satisfies. Jesus not only satisfies, Jesus is sufficient. You ought to write that down. Jesus is sufficient. That means he's enough. No matter what the situation is, no matter what I'm facing, no matter what I'm going through, Jesus is enough. As a matter of fact, he's not just going to give you enough living water to make it by or to get by. He's more than enough. Thank you, Jesus. He will give you what you need. One of the mothers of our church used to talk about Jesus and how great he was, how good God was. And she used the 23rd Psalm. And she would say, I'm glad I drank and my cup has run over. She said, not only my cup, but my saucer and my teaspoon. And that's what Jesus is. He's the living water. And can I tell you this? You will never thirst again for anything else of the world as long as you keep drinking the living water. Someone's listening to me today that is backslidden. Someone's listening to me today that has walked away from the promises of God, has walked away from the benefits of salvation. And Jesus is just saying, if you just only knew how good I could be to you, how I could satisfy your longings, how I could heal your situations, your broken heart. You know what the world does sometimes when they're going through depression? They drown their situation in alcoholic beverages. And they drink so much so they get drunk. But the next morning when they wake up, guess what? All they have is a hangover, and they still have a problem that needs to be solved. However, when you drink of the living water, the issue may not go away, but your soul will be satisfied. One songwriter said, I'm happy with Jesus alone. I'm happy with Jesus alone. The poor in a place